Court will hear arguments on that on Thursday. Also, FBI Director Kash Patel says he's going to Chicago. NBC News has learned some National Guard troops are already in Illinois. They could begin patrolling the city of Chicago. Joining us now, NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster and NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley. Julia, let's start with you. Can you give us some context about the Insurrection Act that the president is mentioning? How has it been used in the past?
Well, Trump's actually floated the idea of using it before, shortly after the death of George Floyd in 2020, when protests and sometimes in small circumstances turned violent across the country. He thought about using the Insurrection Act at that point, but held back. It's also the longest period in history we've gone without using the Insurrection Act. According to the Brennan Center, the last time it was invoked was in 1992 by then President George H.W. Bush in Los Angeles after the beating of Rodney King as a police brutality incident broke into riots in that city. Now, of course, that doesn't, just because we've gone the longest without using the Insurrection Act and it's not used frequently, that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be used in this case. Of course, we've heard rhetoric ramping up from the White House on this issue, though. Just yesterday, President Trump said that he would consider using it if he needed to. Basically, acting like it was a last resort if he couldn't get cities like Chicago and Portland to comply with ICE operations there, and if protests continued in those cities because of what ICE is doing there for immigration enforcement. We think it's something the White House is looking at. How quickly or how likely it is that they'll invoke it soon remains to be seen.
Thank you, Julia. Chicago's mayor says he's not heard directly from the Trump administration about the National Guard. We said they're in Illinois, but not necessarily in Chicago yet. What else is the mayor saying about this potential deployment?
Well, he called it illegal, unconstitutional. Pointed out the fact National Guard members don't have policing or arresting authority and that they'll largely be restricted to protecting federal buildings and protecting federal agents. Despite that, you just mentioned, we have now confirmed that not state
this safety for it's about breaking the Constitution that would give him that much more control over our American cities.
The mayor was also asked about FBI Director Kash Patel coming to Chicago. The mayor sarcastically replying he hopes that the FBI director spends a lot of money during his visit here.
Julia, what more do we know about Secretary Noem's visit to Portland?
She's on her way to Portland because of protests around the ICE facility in South Portland. The city has been very clear that the protests in that area, and they've had some arrest there recently due to criminal activity, they say, by the police have made this arrest. They say it hasn't risen to the level of national security, and it's just one city block out of a city that's 145 square miles. Noem is going there, though, because she says that this is an attack on ICE, and she's very sensitive to that after the shooting around the Dallas facility just a few weeks ago.
All right, Julia Ainsley, Shaquille Brewster, thanks to you both. A major in Sacramento, California, reopened after the chaotic and dramatic crash of a medical helicopter last night. It left 3 crew members on board that chopper in critical condition. Video we have. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin joins me now in Los Angeles. Dana, it was really scary moments there. What's the latest we're hearing about the investigation?
Me that all were ejected, including the pilot, a nurse, and a paramedic. He says one woman underneath the helicopter, and because of the heavy traffic during this time of evening, there was also construction going on this highway. The fire captain at the scene essentially gathered 15 bystanders to help him lift up this heavy aircraft off the woman. She was conscious. Her torso and waist were pinned. They managed to get her out, and all 3 victims managed to bring it down on the highway and avoid hitting any other vehicles. Also, there was no fire, and this particular fire-resistant fuel tank, which is designed to prevent fires and save lives. We are working to confirm if this particular aircraft was one of those, but it appears it may have been, and it's just absolutely phenomenal to see so many people survive, and this could have been much worse.
Yeah,
Kate.
and just incredible to picture all those people coming together to lift a helicopter up.